me, Ovary Actor. It's time to review what we've learned in section 2.2 of the WFTDA Rule Book. Let's go over one more time what the rule is. Together, we'll have this memorized by now. Section 2.2 is regarding positions, okay? When a jam begins, the jammers must be touching on or behind the jammer line. That's the rule. So let's look at these jammers. And I changed the colors to red and blue because it was really hard to see white. Okay, so in the rules, the jammers, when the jam begins, that means when the jam whistle sounds, the jammers must be touching on or behind the jammer line. So they can have a toe stop, or it's on is in, that's fine, or behind. Okay, this is where the jammers have to be. This is the jam line. All right, this is the pivot line. Let's talk about that. Blockers must all be behind the pivot line and ahead of the jammer line. So here are all the blockers. Pivots are blockers. Pivots are blockers with special privileges. Okay? They all must be behind the pivot line, in front of the jammer line when the jam whistle sounds. The jam starting whistle. And all non-pivot blockers must not be touching the pivot line. Okay? If you have a stripe on your helmet, you're a pivot. You can touch the pivot line. That's why it's named after you. You could do that. If you're a blocker, if you don't have a stripe on your helmet, no. Don't touch that line. And if either pivot lines up touching the pivot line at the jam start, touching, then all non-pivot blockers, that's all of you guys here, all of you guys, if a pivot is touching the pivot line at the jam start, all non-pivot blockers must be behind that pivot's hips. Pivots can be tricky. Pivots can be tricky. They can reach their leg way out there and then like move their hips while their leg is like way out there to make you get behind their hips. Those tricky girls. Watch out for the tricky girls because they'll do that. If you are out of bounds and you try and jump in bounds, no. If the jam whistle starts and you're in the air and your previous position was out of bounds, you're out of bounds. You can't play. If you're out of bounds on the inside, like you're rushing from the bench, it's like 5 seconds, oh no, and you overshoot the line, tweet. Nope, can't play, dude. You were not in bounds when the jam began. Can't play. Pivots. We talked about this. Do not be in flagrant violation of the rules by lining up in front of the pivot line when the jam starts. Flagrant violation. To the box. Tricky pivots.